Hi guys, welcome back. Now that we have completed the entire modeling and the texture painting process, now we have to look into the shading as well as the rendering in Maya. So here I have the entire model which is ready for the texturing process. So before we get into that, you have to make sure that every single one of these models have a new material assigned. So material in the sense every uh, one of these models will have a different surface like reflectivity, and some of these things will have a more reflectivity compared to for example, here I have some rocks. These rocks will have more reflectivity compared to the ground, since it will be mostly consist of grass, sand, that kind of things. And few of them we will have transparency and all. And because of that, for each of these models we have to assign different materials. For the shading and rendering process, we will be using Arnold render, which is inbuilt in Maya 2017 onwards. And you can use any of this softwares from 2017 to 2020. Here I am using 2020, but even if you have a older version, you can just follow the same procedure in order to achieve the final result. So we will start with our basic shape itself. So since we actually created the texture for both the top and bottom part of our main mushroom house, so we will start with that itself. So the top area we will be adding more reflectivity compared to the bottom area. So we will select the top one, and we will just right click. And once you right click, you will get a lot of options. Here itself you can select assign new material, and in the assign new material window, here in the left side we have a few options. Here we will select Arnold. Once you selected Arnold, you will get a list of different kind of materials which can be assigned to a particular object. For like we have a AI tone, and then we have Lambert, and we have hair material, and so on and so forth. So here we will be selecting the standard surface material, which is the standard material for Arnold. It is like a Lambert or something like that in Maya itself. So here we'll be selecting a standard surface material. Once you selected that, a new material will be assigned, and in the attribute editor you'll be getting a material called AI standard surface. Here the first thing is we'll just name it. We'll name it mushroom house top. And once that is done, in the type area, we actually selected a standard surface. Even after creating it, you can always change the type of material. After that, we have weight, colors, and that options. Here we will be able to assign a different color, and we can actually adjust the weight of that particular color, how much weight that particular color or texture hold in that material. After that, we have diffuse roughness, how much roughness we can add up to that particular color, or metalness. You can make it more metallic or less metallic compared to that. After that, we have specular, which will determine how much reflectivity that particular material have. After that, we have transmission, which will control how much transmission. If it's like a glass or water kind of material, we can adjust the transmission. After that, we have subsurface. Subsurface is actually used for skin materials and that kind of things. And then we have coat and sheen. These two are for extra coating and reflectivity, that kind of things. It's mostly added for metallic and glass liquid kind of things. And we have emission for extra emission, then so on and so forth. So here we will be focusing on the base color. Since it's a basic class, we will be focusing on some of the basic things in this lessons. And so because of that, for now we will just in the base material itself, in the color option, we have a checker rectangle in the end. So we will just click on it, Once you click on it, you will get a separate option for creating an extra render node. Here we can actually assign different kind of materials and textures to that particular material itself. Okay, so once you get this create a new render node, here we will just select the 2D textures option under the Maya menu. From here we will just select the file option. Since we have all the textures created in a separate file, we actually going to select this particular option for file. Once you click that option, you will get a different dialog box in attribute editor where you can actually input a separate file. So here in the image name, and we have a small folder icon. We'll just click on this particular icon, and then now we can actually locate our textures, and we can actually start assigning them. So here I will select mushroom house texture.psd. Even if we are actually assigning psd file, it doesn't matter because all the visible layers will be converted into a single image, and that particular image will be assigned to that particular object. So we don't have to be afraid of assigning any psd file. The only thing is it will be a little bit the size wise it will take a little bit more time compared to a normal image, but this way we can actually always go back to that particular psd image and we can edit things in that texture itself, and that will be much more useful in our situation. So now we actually assigned it. Once you done that, you can actually select a model, and you can right click, and you can select material attributes. So we will be again going back to the material attributes. Here we can actually adjust these things, like how much weight we can adjust. After that, roughness, diffuse roughness, and metalness, all that things we can adjust. Here for now we are actually going to focus on specularity, and we can actually adjust the specularity, and we can change the specular color, what color it will be holding, and the roughness we can actually add. You can see as I increase the roughness, you can see some changes in the material itself. If you focus on it, you'll be able to see some changes. If I increase the roughness, it will be more rough, and it will not have much reflectivity. If I reduce the roughness, it will have a more reflectivity that way. So once we assign that, for now we are actually just leaving the settings as it is. After we add the lights, and when we start rendering, that time we will again come back to each material, and we will start editing them to get a perfect output. So once we done that, we can actually focus on the next one. For the bottom model, again we'll just assign a new material the same way. Here also we'll go to Arnold AI standard surface, and in the color value we'll just assign the same material as before, mushroom house. So this way, even though we are actually assigned the same texture to both the shapes, we can actually adjust the reflectivity of each of this material separately, since we actually added them separately. So if we are actually, we can actually do by, you can select both the materials and assign the texture at the same time. But since we actually added them separately, we can actually individually manage how much reflectivity each of these models will be having. So that way we have more control over the output. So once that is done, you can just go on and start assigning each of these materials. So in the next part, we are actually going over to the plant. So we will be able to, I'll be able to show you how we can actually assign that alpha channel in our model. So for now I am just hiding the concept image, and for the stem, first I'll select the plant stem, and I will assign a new material. Okay, our stem texture has been assigned, and the next thing is we will start with one of the leaves first, and again the same way we'll add a new material. In the color value we will add a new textures. Okay, so once we added that texture, you can see the texture is actually assigned, and the rest of the area we now have a white background. So the next thing what we have to do is we have to remove this extra white area. So what we will do is we'll go to the material attributes. Here we will scroll down, and here in the geometry tab, here we have an option called opacity. This particular option is controlling how much opacity that particular the texture's opacity. So we can have it 100%, which is white color, which will have the 100% opacity of the texture, and we can reduce it to 0. That way we can actually control the visibility of that particular texture. So here we are going to add the alpha channel which we created earlier. So I'll just click on this rectangle. Here we will select the file option, and from here we will just select the planned alpha channel. And once you open that, you can now see that the entire area outside the texture has been gone black color. So now what happened is that only that area which is in the textured area will be visible in the final image, and the entire black area will not be visible in the final image. So this is how we will control the alpha channel. So we will be seeing a transparent version of this particular layer. So once we done that, you can just select the entire rest of the entire leaf, and you can just right click, and you can go to assign existing material. From here you can select the plant leaf material. So that's our plant. So once you completed that material, now you can go to the rest of the model and start assigning the textures. So the next we will start with the ground. So now I'll just fast forward this area, and once we completed the entire texture, once we assign the entire texture, then we will move on to adding lights and the final rendering part of our image. So I will see you guys in the next video.